Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my new video where we are going to be going over my top 5 tips I think every single Pyke player needs to know. Now, my goal behind this video is to give you a better understanding of the champion, as well as to make you a better League of Legends player as a whole. I'm going to put timestamps at 2 different points in my video, both up top as well as the scrolling bar down below will be segmented into the different tips, just to make that video a little bit more readable. If you want to contact me directly with any questions, I heavily encourage you guys. I try to be as helpful as possible and as interactive as possible, so I'm going to put a link to my Discord down in the pinned comments. Finally, I'm a little bit limited with this format, only doing 5 tips, so I would love to hear you guys' thoughts down below if you have your own tips or crazy fun builds with Pyke. And with all that out of the way, let's jump right into the video.
No luck in your promo games? Not even one pentakill? Did your teammate rage quit? Feed the enemy team? Just jump over to Turbosmurfs.gg and do like the pros, buy a fresh level 30 account. We offer high-quality accounts and service that reflects in our 5 out of 5 star rating on Trustpilot. Not only that, but we also offer lifetime warranty on all our accounts and a daily loot box where you can win a free account. Link in the description.
Alright, and getting into tip number 1, the most important thing to understand, the easiest way to get a very early lead when playing Pyke is looking for level 1 hooks on enemy champions. If you didn't know, the hook does a 90% slow on an enemy target, and that is at level 1. The amount of damage you're doing at level 1 with 3 quick auto attacks of your Halo Blaze with the slow, and if your ADC follows up at all, you will be forcing out flashes quite regularly. Now, how you can look to use this is by making sure that you are looking to zone champions that are maybe taking a little bit of a quicker route into the lane. They are not doing the very safe route of walking with their minions. So always look for these very easy hooks and early leads that you can get on Pyke, just so you can start snowballing and start bullying in lane. And once you get the flash out of an enemy champion, it is just going to be as simple as getting a flash and either a hook or an E landing on the enemy champion, and you will just start destroying a lot of lanes. This is particularly important to understand in anything from iron to low diamond. There are going to be possibilities for you to get those level 1 cheese Qs that might force out flashes on enemy champions. And that will wrap up tip number 1 for Pyke. Alright, and getting into tip number 2, we're going to talk about a very effective flash combo that you might have not heard of when you are playing in lower elos. This is great for anything from iron to platinum to diamond, where you can start looking to essentially, by the end of the game, you want to be able to just start forcing flashes out of the enemy targets by just Eing towards a couple of different targets. How you want to play out the first couple of combos are key. You want to E to a lower threat direction that the enemy target does not assess it as a threat. So say this is the enemy Jinx that you really want to go and kill. So you want to E in a direction that they assess it as a lower threat, either to one side where maybe their ally champion is, or to maybe some minions, or to a random bush where they think maybe, hey, this guy is new to Pyke, he's just Eing into the bush to get in the fog of war. And how you're going to look to play out this combo is by Eing to a very low threat direction, and then committing your flash at the last second, using your Q into your R. So how you want to play this out with your flash is you want to be doing it at the last second of your E animation. If you watch the Ghost, right as he is thrusting forward, this is essentially when the stun is going to be sent out through that line, and that is when you want to be doing it. You want to be flashing at the last possible second of that stun, giving the least amount of reaction time from the enemy. And what is going to happen after you do this 1 or 2 times to an enemy target, because they have such a limited time to react to this E with the flash stun follow-up Q into an R, is you are going to be able to E, and they are just going to expect you to flash and follow up with that E, and you're just going to continuously do that, and you're going to be able to force out a lot of defensives from the enemy with a relatively lower cooldown phantom undertow that is going to put you in a great situation. However, you do never want to approach these situations with your W. You want to be using your W is after you land your full combo, or say you missed your full combo, maybe you mistimed the stun. You want to be having that W in the back of your pocket to get out of a rough situation, or after you finish and kill a single target, you can follow up and chase down the other enemy target and get them with the ultimate follow-up reset. So keep this in mind. It is a hyper effective way to play out the lane phase and start forcing out defensives from the enemy. And that will wrap up tip number 2. All right, and getting into tip number 3, the best way to assist when you have the jungle pressure and your ally jungler is coming and looking for a gank is by approaching the enemy targets and holding on to your Q. The more time that they use to dodge back and forth gives your allied jungler and your allied ADC more time to catch up with the targets. Likely they are not going to be walking in a straight line because they know that that's pretty much a guaranteed hook, and a lot of people do not try and dodge the hook reactively. They try and be proactive and do early jukes and dodges before you have even thrown out your Q. This is even more prevalent in lower elo games, so always look to try and buy as much time for the follow-up of your all-in to make those all-ins a lot more successful, and making sure that you are protected more when you go into your ultimate and you commit your E, because that is going to put you in a pretty vulnerable situation. So please keep this in mind when you're playing Pyke. Again, when you have an allied jungler coming, you need to hold on to your Q, walk them down, and look to see how many times they're going to dodge and how much ground your allied jungler and allied ADC are going to be able to cover. And this is going to increase the overall effectiveness and success and kill rates of your ganks when you are playing Pyke. And that will wrap up tip number 3 for Pyke. All right, getting into tip number 4, a extremely important part of Pyke's kit obviously is roaming. He is one of the most effective roaming supports because he provides a hook, a stun, and he is a lot safer roaming than something like a Thresh with the power of his W and E escape. So if you are not roaming at least a bit of your time during the laning phase, you are not taking full effectiveness when you are playing Pyke. Essentially, the times you want to look for roams are when you are either first coming back out of the base and they think that you are just headed towards your lane and you are just out of vision, or when they think that you have backed and you have the enemy pushed in with all of the minions under the turrets. This is when you can look for both mid lane roams as well as the jungle assistance is also a very great way to really impact other situations. Now, in my opinion, I think affecting the enemy jungler is going to be a lot better than affecting the mid lane, because if you're following up with an allied invade, you are going to be able to spread the lead to the rest of the map, essentially getting your jungler ahead, enabling more of his ganks, and putting the enemy jungler behind, and really stopping him from getting off more successful ganks. So look for wards in here. Look to apply as much pressure as possible with the early game Pyke and the amount of CC and pick that you can get when you are playing Pyke. Anytime that you can approach enemies from Fog of War and get hooks and stuns and invades, it is going to be all the more deadly. It is a lot easier to read what Pyke is doing when you are just in lane and they know that you are walking towards them. So keep these things in mind when you're roaming with Pyke. And then obviously you want to have a sweeper, maybe a couple of control wards to make your roams all the more deadly because they have the vision denied. And that will wrap up this tip with Pyke. All right, getting into the final tip, we're going to be talking about team fights. We are going to be going over the most important things that you need to look to understand in team fights, and that is you need to be using your allies as your biggest resources. They are your best distractions, and they are your best setups. If you have 4 allied team members in the fight, there is there has to be at least one slow, one stun, some sort of setup that can guarantee a Q landing, as well as using your allies to absorb some of the damage is going to be a great way to look to play this out. Because you are very squishy, you would not want to be the frontliner that is looking to just really get in there and put yourself in a dangerous situation, committing your mobility into the enemy champions. This is a very easy way to get CC'd and bursted out when you are playing Pyke. So how you want to be looking to do this. Obviously, coming from flanks is going to be an effective way. Waiting for the two teams to commit and attacking the backlines and using your allies as a bit of a meat shield. Particularly if you're one of those people that feel that you're better than the average player in your elo, one of the best things that you can look to do is use your allies as essentially spell shields in the way that they are going to be absorbing like a Fizz ultimate or a Zed ultimate that are no longer going to be a threat to you, and you can really look to focus and have just a huge time in the team fights. Obviously, waiting for a little bit of time can put your team in a little bit of a disadvantage because they have 5 committed into 4, so you need to find that sweet timing of just knowing when the opportune moment is to strike when playing Pyke. Augmenting these flanks, again, with vision control of the control wards and sweepers is going to be a hyper-effective way to play these out. And as the fights go on further, Pyke becomes more and more deadly. He becomes more and more important to the team fights the lower the HP the targets get. So, waiting a little bit of time before you're committing your full kit. Never be the first person into the fight unless you're an extremely experienced Pyke and you know the limits of your champion. If you're newer or maybe a mid-range experience on Pyke, make sure that you are using your allies as a resource, and you will start seeing huge payback of lasting a little bit longer into those team fights where you have less threat because less spells are available and the targets are at lower HPs for your ultimate executes. And that will wrap up my final tip, guys. If you have any questions for me, you can hit me up in the comments down below. And as always, take it easy.